Creating a new definition in the Manager module with the Forms product is not too difficult. What we do is, to start out in this clear area, we right-click, select New, and if we have a scanner attached, we can scan right in, or we can read an image from the file system. It's asking me if I'm using a two-sided form. With the Forms product, you always want to use a two-sided form if it has two sides, because the product can actually determine the form type based on information that's on both sides of the form. But in this case, it's a single-sided form. And let's see. This is the one. There we go. And so I can zoom this up, or I can zoom it down with the F3 and F4 keys. Okay, now that we have a form to work with, let's start by adding fields. So what I can do is I can rope off an area for the field, but if you look at what we're getting here, it's a name field. So other names may be quite a bit longer than this one. So if I hold down the Shift key and click in this area, it will give me the ability to drag this out a little bit further so that we can capture other names that might be coming through in their entirety. The other thing I need to do is erase the actual data that's here on this template. And once I do that, then I can double click and go in here and define this field. It's a character type field. It's going to have alpha lower, alpha upper, and maybe a special character, and certainly a space since we have first and last name. It's printed, and for the specification I'm going to use X, which is alphanumeric, and I'll use anywhere from 1 to 20. Although most names are going to be bigger than 1, I guess I could make that 2 to 20. And we should be good. Must be filled in. And we have a validation table that we'll use with this as well. And so I'll do that for these other ones as well. Five to 25 on this one, since I know the shortest assignment would be 5 characters. We try to make that match as closely as possible to what we know we're going to see. This one must be filled in, and it has a table. Okay, that should be good. And then this one. Now this one is a address, so it could have numerical characters as well. Okay, now the other thing we need to do is we need to make the adjustment fields that and the identification fields. And luckily there's a button up here that will automatically do that for us, so we don't have to manually draw them. So I'm going to hit that now and let that go through and find what it's going to find. It says there's going to be more than 5, which is good. I'd like there to be enough so that it can identify this form from other forms. And now you see that it's put a lot of these little boxes around things. Now we just have to make sure that it's not doing that in an area where we're going to have data. And it looks like we're in good shape here, so that's really all we need to do for now. Next step is we'll define some of these mark sense boxes. When we want to do a large number of mark sense fields, such as we have here, there are some shortcuts that help us with that process. So let me go through here and start a mark sense box by double clicking each one of these in the series. And then we'll define the series. Okay, so we want to make this a mark sense, and we'll call this question 1. And we can have a minimum and maximum of only one selection, and we want to use the value 6 decreasing as it goes across the row. And the other option is if there's no mark, I'd want it to give me a 0. Okay, so now we'll go on to the next row. Now, instead of using the define submenu, we'll use define as previous. It automatically makes it question 2 and gives me all the same variables. And that's all we need. So we'll go through and do them all that way, and it saves us the time of putting in some of those extra variables. When you're working with the Forms product and you're trying to extract data that is part of a list of values or preset values, in other words, you have a set number of values available for that data element, it's advisable to make a table up that has those values so that you can validate against that list. And some of the features that are available when you're trying to do that are one of them is called active validation. And when you're doing active validation, what can happen is the OCR process can not be perfect and pull back a value. In this case, the example is VO asterisk VO, so it didn't pick up the L in Volvo. And so if Volvo is actually in the table, then it can say, well, this is the closest thing, and it will give you that value. So it can really do a good job of cleaning up your data. So we know that table validation is a good thing, so let's look at how we create tables and bring data into tables. The first thing we have to do is create a table to accept our data. So we right-click on the background here and select New. And I'm just going to call this Demo for right now. And we could actually start keying values in here, but I prefer to import from a pre-created list. So I'm just going to close it, and we can see that we have the table here now, and it's highlighted. So I'm going to right-click that. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to go up to the menu, and on the Edit menu, there's Import from Text File. So that's what we want to do. And I'm going to browse for a file, and I'm going to use the name file and import. And there it goes. So let's look at what we did here. If I double click on it, it should open it. And here are all the names from the data file that I pulled in that I'll use for validation.